Do you want to move over to a dedicated sending domain? Maybe because of all the changes with Gmail and Yahoo, maybe because you fall into the spam folder because you have some deliverability issues, or just in general you want to stop using Klaviyo's shared server. Whatever the case, you probably dabbled around from podcast interview to blog article to YouTube tutorial, and you still do not really know how to set it up. In this video, I'm going to break it down for you how we helped all of the brands we partner up with move over to a dedicated sending domain, and how you can do that too without having to overcomplicate things. So without further ado, let's start immediately. So welcome to the tutorial. I'm going to cover how to move over to a dedicated sending domain. Basically, this is a tutorial where I go through first of all, why you should move over to a dedicated sending domain, how to do it, and how to basically, stop using the shared server from Klaviyo. I'm going to go through it step by step. Hopefully, go through everything that you have in mind to help you with this move. We've done that dozens and dozens of times for the brands we work with. So it's going to be a smooth ride here because it's not too complicated. So why should you move over in the first place? There are multiple reasons for that. We kind of advised in the past everyone to move over at some point. Basically, it's overall better for your deliverability because you aren't sharing your sender reputation. Because what could happen, because you basically share your sender reputation, basically causes you to end up in spam or not. And if you share that, you basically are dependent on other people not messing up the deliverability or the reputation of the server. This is definitely not ideal, right? So you want to move over because you want to have, all balls in your court and not, rely on someone else. So that's the first thing. Maybe, sometimes brands, they land in spam and, they can basically reset the entire deliverability and just overall increase the deliverability. But now what's happening in 2024, in February 2024, is that Gmail and Yahoo, they basically decided to make it necessary. So that's why I'm also doing this video, because before that it was kind of a nice to have, or we basically advised everyone to do that, but it was not necessary. And we've seen still big brands crush it without. But from February 2024, it's basically necessary because otherwise you will get flagged as spam immediately. So that's basically the reason. Let's start immediately. So you can literally just log into your Klaviyo account. But you basically click on the settings thing here in the Klaviyo, and this will bring you to kind of this overview where you have account, billing, email, blah, 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 and all of that good stuff. And then you just click on email, you click on domains, and this will get you to this interface here. And then this is basically where it says dedicated sending domain. This page allows you to set blah, 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 blah. Basically what we're doing, right? So you just click on get started, and that's kind of the first step. So you click on get started, which will open this field here, which is the root domain and the sending domain. You do not want to kind of overcomplicate it. The root domain is basically just your domain. So for example, you have a domain that is called youtubetest.com, or maybe you run brockconsulting.com, or maybe you run ecommerce.com. You just put in the domain that you're running and that you want to move over to, right? This is just the domain of your store. Do not overcomplicate it here. Sending domain. That's basically a subdomain of your main domain. Sounds super complicated. You can just literally put in whatever you want to. You can just put in send. It's just something that you do not want to use elsewhere. And usually most of the brands, they have never looked into this. So just use send or friend, or just basically use something, a short kind of prefix here, which is in that case send. And then you click on continue, which will then get you to the next step, which is basically updating and verifying your DNS records. So now it's getting a little bit complicated. So you have a root domain, you have a sending domain, and now you need to put those DNS records into your host. And this is where it gets maybe a little bit complicated, which I cannot help you with right now, because most of the brands, they just have totally different hosting software. So for example, you could be on Cloudflare, you could be on Squarespace, you could be on, Google Domains now moved to Squarespace, that's why I'm saying that. But basically the domain host that you're using could be Cloudflare, could be GoDaddy, all of these platforms, you go there and log into and open the DNS records. This is very, very important. And that's basically where you put in those records in, and that's basically to verify, okay, this domain is mine. That's literally the entire process here. So you want to verify your domain, that this is your domain, and you can use that for your Klaviyo account. So yeah, that's what you do. So what you want to do is here, there are 4 DNS records. CNAME, 3 CNAMEs, 1 TXT, which is text, And what you want to do, and it may look like this. This is how it looks like on Google Domains. That's why I put together it here. You basically have host name or something across the lines of host name. And then you have the type. That's usually type. This is something that you can disregard. You could just leave it whatever. Some hosting platforms do have that, some not. And then you have something like data. Here you have value, something across that line. So what you basically want to do is, here you can see we have 3 times CNAME and we have 1 text. So what you want to do is you want to first select the type. So here we have txt. We do that, and then we put in the host name as so what you want to do is you want to use the type. So in that case txt. The host in that case would be @ so we can literally use the host name that is there. So in that case it's @, which is basically empty. So you can just put in an @txt, and then the data you just copy paste what you have here. In that case, this is from a different domain, and that's why it's basically different. But in that way, you basically now know, okay, this is right. So you copy paste this here, and this record is done. And you repeat the process for all these 3. So what you do is you do CNAME, you use the host name that is here. So for example here, KL2 point this thing, domain key, and then just copy paste this, put it in here, blah, 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 and then repeat it for the other 2. And by doing that, you basically verify that this domain is yours. And then you just click on verify records, and that's it. And then it's done. So not too complicated. The only complicated thing is you have to understand how to actually add DNS records. But that's pretty much it. You just want to click on verify records then, and then it might take a few moments or like a few hours. I think it says 24 to 36 hours. Usually it's not really the case. It's like set up pretty immediate. And that's pretty much the setup. So what you want to do now, because it's pretty much a hard reset of your deliverability, you do not want to like blast and run the same strategy you used before. So what you want to do is you want to decrease your engaged segments. So for example, you've been sending to 120 days, or maybe you send to the entire list all the time. Now you want to start sending lower volume. So what you want to do is you want to use maybe the first campaign just literally engaged 14 days, and then after that engaged 30, have a couple campaigns on engage 30, and then increase that to maybe 45, 60, 75, 90, 120, and then after a month or so you should be back to normal. That's basically to ensure that the transition is smooth, because that's kind of the first time for the domain to send that many emails. So we want to do that, and then basically warm up your domain depending on how big and how old your domain is. You can also adjust that. But yeah, that's basically everything you need to know. You basically learned how to move over to a dedicated sending domain. If you want this to get done from my side, then feel free to schedule a call and see you there. I hope this video in and of itself was of value to you. Bye-bye. Take care. If you like this tutorial, then definitely make sure to check out some of my other videos. If you are a brand that does at least 50K per month and you want, for example, this tutorial implemented, or you want to have an audit of your entire email marketing strategy, a step-by-step strategy to adjust, or you want a partner basically who takes you to new heights when it comes to your email efforts, then feel free to schedule a call with me. There's somewhere in this video, in the description, there's a link you can click on, gets it to my scheduler. We have a super casual conversation, and by the end, you definitely know way more about emails than before. So I see you there. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.